Hello, welcome to Moviemusters. Episode 2 of Law and Order Season 23, Human Innovation. Rarely do fans of Law and Order remain in the dark after an hour of programming. Nevertheless, Law and Order Season 23 Episode 2 had a last-minute security footage that might or might not have been fabricated, an accused killer who claimed a millionaire went to great lengths to frame him, and no indications as to who was speaking the truth. With the lines between phony and real so blurry, leaving viewers perplexed as to what the real story was, Price wondered about how he was meant to perform his job once the credits rolled. Authenticating the proof Law and Order. Of course, it was the main idea. With artificial intelligence AI technology so advanced that it was hard to distinguish between actual and fraudulent videos, this narrative verged on the dystopian. To convey its point, it forced that misunderstanding on the audience. Law and Order Season 23 Episode 2, Riley Interrogates. The timing of the topic is impeccable. Performers didn't want their likenesses to be created by AI without their permission or fair remuneration, which was one of the reasons behind the recently resolved actors' strike. In addition, a deep-fake robo-caller impersonating Joe Biden was utilized a few days prior to the airing of this program to dissuade voters in New Hampshire from casting their ballots. The terrifying future shown in this episode is, in a sense, already here. Just use caution. The intention is equally likely to cause harm as to do good. These days, everyone fears that AI will take their work. It will be simpler to feel sorry for the individual who lost his job than for the billionaire who let go of hundreds of workers. That's all I'm saying, Nolan. McCoy. Permalink, just use caution. The intention is equally likely to cause harm as to do good. Fear of being laid off due to... No, we do not yet have a sentient artificial intelligence AI that can teach itself how to perform people's tasks, nor are the courts overwhelmed by haphazard recordings that might or might not be true. However, a lot of people are afraid that might occur and want protections to make sure it doesn't. Episode 2 of Law and Order Season 23, Weighing the Evidence. I was uneasy with McCoy's stance. How were a judge and jury who weren't trained in AI detection meant to know if that video was real or false if even a computer specialist like Violet couldn't tell? This is an issue that goes beyond using AI. Many instances have resulted in convictions based on questionable scientific claims. This is partially due to regulations that give judges the discretion to accept such evidence rather than mandating that it be independently verified for accuracy. One of those things, ironically, was used in this episode. Ballistic testing aren't nearly as precise as certain stale TV cliches portray them to be. Finding the killer of a tech CEO. Law and Order Season 23 Episode 2. McCoy has been overly preoccupied with winning ever since taking over as the DA's office chief, and this was no different. He believed that Stafford was guilty, and that using shaky evidence to prove his guilt was acceptable. That's not a good example to set. Although Stafford was making absurd assertions, there was a possibility that he was speaking the truth. It's probable that he was set up by James Sawyer. Sawyer possessed the resources, cash, expertise, and technology to pull it off. And at the beginning of the hour, he laid the blame for Evan's death at the NYPD, alleging that increased crime rates were the reason for the murder. Dixon said that they had to close the investigation to silence him, but no one else addressed this. Season 23 Episode 2 of Law and Order, Maroun vs. A killer. It's possible that Stafford was just venting his desperation at the prospect of being found guilty. However, they might also have been a cry for assistance from someone helpless to prevent an extraordinarily wealthy CEO from using him as a scapegoat to silence his protests against mistreatment at work. Did it really matter in the end? Naturally, from the perspective of justice. However, in reference to McCoy's choice in this instance, whether he was innocent or guilty should never have mattered. Doubly practices that have the potential to unfairly convict an innocent person have no place being applied to someone the DA's office thinks to be guilty. Jack McCoy ought to be more aware. Wasn't he once fervent about justice rather than just winning cases? Episode 2 of Law and Order Season 23, Technological Murder. McCoy was also concerned that Stafford, as a billionaire who fired a lot of people who were living paycheck to paycheck, would be an easy target for sympathy as a defendant. It's possible that I'm outdated, but that doesn't excuse murder. Evan was free to recruit and fire anybody he pleased, even if his choices were appalling. Indeed, his choices made Stafford's and other long-time employees' lives more difficult, and they had every right to be offended that their allegiance went unpaid. However, eliminating huge company CEOs doesn't solve the issue of income inequality. Instead, why not raise awareness about Venzip's unscrupulous employment practices? Perhaps have a journalist who specializes in investigative reporting examine the discrepancy between Evan's wealthy lifestyle and the hardships faced by the workers he let go. Law and Order Season 23 Episode 2. Is it a deepfake? Stafford was unsympathetic because his assertions seemed like justifications. To start, he insisted that the police forced him to confess because he believed they would offer him illegal narcotics if he did. Cost. So you're telling us that in order to frame you, your key card was copied, a murder weapon was planted, and security footage was suddenly produced using cutting-edge technology. Stafford, please, you need to trust me. Cost. We can see with our own eyes what transpired, so why should we believe you? Permalink, since we can witness for ourselves what transpired, why should we believe you? Because it didn't seem like the police gave him his rights before he made the confession. It was shady. I didn't understand why they hauled him out of his residence in handcuffs after discovering that he was under arrest for murder at that time. Conveniently, his attorney arrived after he had already confessed, told him not to speak, and then asserted that he had been coerced into making the confession. Why not make the case that Stafford's right to counsel had not been upheld? That sounded like a ridiculous argument. That exchange of ideas would have been more fruitful and avoided giving the impression that Stafford and his attorney were clinging to every possible way out of difficulty. Riley, at least, maintained composure while testifying, indicating that there may be value in this new character. Law and Order Season 23 Episode 2. AI Interference. He presented unambiguous proof that Stafford was probably guilty. Stafford seemed too concerned when he claimed that someone had copied his key card and entered his apartment building covertly to dispose of the pistol. It's your turn, fans of Law and Order. What were your thoughts on this case with AI inspiration and its unclear resolution? Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.